What's the difference between I worked hard last night? I hardly worked last night. I still haven't done it. I haven't done it yet. There are many confusing words in English that students often use incorrectly. Let's fix that. Today you'll learn how to use these 21 confusing but very common English words. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, let's review hard and hardly. And let's review these as a quiz. She studied really for the exam and passed with top marks. Do you need hard or hardly? You need hard.
I've been studying really hard.
Because hard means with effort or intensity, whereas hardly means almost not. It's similar to barely. Now, you cannot say he works hardly every day. You have to say he works hard every day if you want to intensify that. So you can say, I worked hard this weekend. This means I worked a lot. If you say, I hardly worked this weekend, and notice that sentence structure placement, I hardly worked, this means I worked very little. So you can say, I hardly or barely slept last night. You can't say, I slept hard last night. Sometimes there just isn't a replacement that means the same. You have to use a different word to intensify it. So you would say, I slept well, or I slept great last night, or there's an idiom you may know, I slept like a rock, or I slept like a baby last night. Don't worry about taking notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now that you understand the difference, here is one sentence that uses both. He gets any recognition from his boss, even though he works so. Which one do you need? He hardly gets any recognition. You can identify it because of the sentence structure, but also because it's reducing the amount of recognition. It means a little, not a lot. Even though he works so hard. Placement of the word, and also it intensifies it. Now let's review late and lately. Here's your quiz. Jennifer, I've been watching a lot of your videos. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad. But what do you need? Late or lately? Jennifer, lately I've been watching a lot of your videos. So if that describes you, put that's right, put that's right in the comments.
I've been thinking lately.
Now, late means after the scheduled or usual time. And lately means in recent days or weeks. We arrived late after the scheduled time because we stayed up late last night. This means you stayed up, remained awake later than you usually do, past your normal time. How about this one? You should leave early so you're not late for the interview. So the opposite of late is early, which I always try to be. Now, lately, you've been showing up late. Uh-oh. Lately is flexible, so you could say, you've been showing up late lately. Yes, you can have late, lately, side by side. And then you might add on, is everything okay? Because lately is the present perfect or present perfect continuous. So the action started in the past and continues until now. So it sounds like it's more of a routine. He's been working a lot lately, not just now, started in the past and continues. Or again, you can start with lately and say lately she hasn't been herself. The verb to be cannot go in a continuous form. Here's your quiz question. I'm sorry the kids are, again, our car has been acting up. Well, you can tell because of the meaning, but also because of that sentence structure. I immediately noticed the present perfect continuous and the fact it's the very last word. So I know the last one, our car has been acting up lately. That's why the kids are late again. Now let's review really and actually. I hear mistakes with these a lot. How about this quiz question? I thought he was just late, but he got into an accident. But actually,
Actually, he was laughing.
This is an important distinction. Really is an intensifier. It means very, truly, or genuinely. But we're not intensifying anything here. It sounds like we're correcting something, and that's when you need actually. It means in fact, or it's to introduce something surprising, correcting, or clarifying. I thought he was late, but actually he got into an accident. So I'm clarifying my false assumption. Now, sometimes a student will say to me, Jennifer, actually, I like your videos. But this sounds like you thought I didn't like your videos, but I do. You want to use really if there's nothing to correct or clarify. So you want to say, I really like your videos to intensify it. Now let's review this. You can say, I really liked the movie. You intensify your feeling of satisfaction. And then you can ask, did you like it? And then you might need to clarify or correct and say, actually, I've never seen it before, because the person assumes you've seen it. You can change that placement and say, I've actually never seen it before. You can even add it at the end. It sounds more like an afterthought. I've never seen it before, actually. So here's your quiz question. I'm sorry, I thought your name was Jane. What do you think? The first one, I'm really sorry, you're intensifying it. I actually thought your name was Jane. You're clarifying or correcting information. Now let's review a pair that even native speakers confuse, especially and specially. Here's the quiz question. She's allergic to peanuts, so we need to create a dish for her. Which one? Specially for her.
He'd had my ring made especially for me.
Especially means particularly, more than others. Specially means for a specific purpose or intention. I love all types of pie, especially apple pie. So I'm using this to emphasize apple pie more than others. I made this apple pie specially for you. It's sugar-free. This is to emphasize a specific purpose or intention. So you can say English grammar is difficult, especially irregular verbs, to emphasize that category. Or I could say I created a lesson specially for my advanced students. Now I could add on, all my students will benefit from this lesson, especially my beginner students. So I'm highlighting that group. Let's try another quiz question. He was trained for dangerous missions, those involving explosives. He was specially trained for a specific purpose. Dangerous missions, and then we want to highlight specific ones, especially those involving explosives. Now let's talk about eventually and ultimately. Here's the quiz question. The plan was risky, expensive, and time-consuming, but it was successful. But it was ultimately successful.
Impressive. but ultimately useless.
Now, to be fair, you could grammatically and logically say eventually. This means after a long time, finally. But ultimately means in the end, after considering everything. So if you had to only choose one for the quiz, ultimately is the better fit. But just remember that both make sense. Here's an easy way to remember the difference if you have to choose only one. Eventually focuses on the time. Ultimately focuses on the result. But you can equally say he eventually became a teacher, he ultimately became a teacher. They'll eventually get married, they'll ultimately get married. There's a very subtle difference. So let's try another quiz and think about which one focuses on time and which one focuses on result. After years of consideration, he moved to Europe and retired. Well, that years of consideration, that to me sounds like time. So I would personally choose eventually for the first one. After years of consideration, he eventually moved and ultimately retired because that focuses on the end result. Another pair with a very subtle difference, just and only. I arrived. I just arrived.
She just arrived.
Just is a short time ago. It can also mean exactly or simply depending on context. Only is no more than. It's restricted to one or whatever that quantity is. So if you say, I only said that, this means I said one thing, that, and nothing more. If you say, I just said that, I said that a short time ago. I only met her, I met one person, her. I just met her, I met her a short time ago. So how about this quiz? I got here and I brought the dessert. I just got here recently, a few minutes ago. I only brought the dessert. So that one item, the dessert, nothing more. Here's a pair many of my students confuse, to and so. That movie was funny. What do you think? That movie was so funny.
You're so funny.
To means to a higher degree than necessary or desirable. So is an intensifier, very, extremely, to such a degree. Sometimes my students say, Jennifer, your lessons are too good. But this means I wish they were less good because too is more than wanted, needed, or desired. So it sounds negative. So you want to say, Jennifer, your lessons are so good, which means I think they're very good. And hopefully you do. So of course you can say the coffee is too hot to drink. This means more than I want. Or you can say, I'm so tired after that workout. So of course I'm very tired. Now notice for sentence structure, we have too and then whatever your adjective is, too hot, but then you can use an infinitive, to drink, or I'm too tired to play golf. Now, with so, you would use an adjective, but you can't use an infinitive after. You can use a clause, which is a full sentence. I'm so tired, I can't play golf today. Here's another quiz for you. Your lessons are good, but they're long. Well, we start with a positive, so good, but then a negative, too long because it's more than wanted or needed or desired, so it's a negative. Now let's review still and yet. The question, is he sleeping? Is he still sleeping?
And he's still sleeping.
Still means continuing to happen. So is the sleep continuing to happen? Yet means until now, and it's also expected to happen. An important note, still can be used in positive, negative, or question form, but yet can only be used in negative or questions. Yet cannot be used in the positive. So you can say, I'm still working on it. I still haven't worked on it. This means the action, not working on it, continues. Now, if you say, I haven't worked on it yet, this means the action hasn't happened until now, but it's expected to happen. Now, you can ask, have you worked on it yet? Or you can ask, are you still working on it? But you cannot use yet in the positive. You cannot say, I'm working on it yet. You can't say that. So here's your quiz. She's in bed and hasn't eaten. What do you think? Well, the action of being in bed continues. She's still in bed. And then a negative, she hasn't eaten yet, but it's expected to happen. Now, similarly, let's review ever and never. Have you gone skydiving? Have you ever gone skydiving?
Have you ever had children?
Ever means at any time. Never, not at any time. But ever is used with questions. Never is used in the negative. And both ever and never use the present perfect. Have you ever gone skydiving? To answer, you would say, yes, I have. Yes, I have gone skydiving. No, I've never gone skydiving. Or you can say, no, never. Or you can say, no, I haven't gone skydiving yet, which means it's expected. You think you'll do this action in the future. So let's review the quiz question. If you want to try sushi like you've had it before, I know a great place. If you ever. The clue there is if you, that's a question. So you need ever directly with questions. Like you've never had it before. That's actually a negative statement. Now let's review sometime and sometimes with that S. Let's get lunch next week. What do you think? Without the S or with the S? Let's get lunch sometime next week.
She should come over sometime after school.
Without the S, it means at an unspecified time. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, any of those times because it's unspecified. Sometimes with the S means occasionally. It's an adverb of frequency. So if someone asks you, do you still play golf? So they want to know if the action of playing golf continues. Do you still play golf? You can reply and say sometimes, which means occasionally. Now, as an adverb of frequency, you would have subject, adverb, verb. I sometimes play golf. Now, they may ask you, oh, would you like to play golf sometime? This means at an unspecified time in the future. Maybe next week, next month, 2 months from now. So unspecified. Now, if they say to you, would you like to play golf sometimes? They're asking you about your routine. So this question means, would you like to play golf occasionally as part of your routine? Now let's review your quiz. We meet after work, so we should plan a get-together next week. Well, based on sentence structure, you know what's needed. Sometimes we meet after work. This happens occasionally. Occasionally, we meet after work. We should plan a get-together, which is a meeting between people, sometime next week, an unspecified time next week. Now let's review definitely and probably. I'm going to the meeting. It's mandatory. I'm definitely going to the meeting.
We definitely will.
Definitely means without a doubt, 100% certain. Probably means most likely. You can think of it as 70% or 90% certain, but it's not guaranteed. So if a friend asks you, can you drive me to the airport tomorrow? You can reply back and say definitely 100% or probably 70 to 90%. I can definitely drive you to the airport tomorrow. Or you can even use this in the negative. I probably can't drive you to the airport tomorrow. So the negative action is 70 to 90% certain. Here's the quiz. I'll be at the meeting, but I'll leave early. We'll probably leave early because you can't leave early to the meeting if there's only a 70 to 90% chance of you going. So you're definitely going to the meeting. Now let's review back and again. When will you be from your trip? You want back.
I'll be back.
Because this means return to a place. Again, of course, means to repeat an action. You can say, I'm back. Or you can say, let's do it again. Let's try that again. Now, back is commonly used with come back or get back, which means to return. When do you come back or get back from vacation? And then you can reply back and clarify and say, actually, I'm back. I got back last week. How about this quiz? I'd love to go back again. So to go back, I'd love to return one more time again. I'd love to go back again. Now you know how to use these confusing English words. Do you want me to keep helping you improve your vocabulary? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, 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 yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.